Hey guys, Analogman here for another discussion video. So I'm putting this video out pretty late, obviously, because I was actually on vacation when the list came out, so I didn't really have access to my equipment to really film stuff like every other YouTuber. But I still wanted to do a list to kind of discuss what the restrictions can potentially do to current decks. And what we might be seeing going forward, especially because within the last few days we've had some really weird developments in the TCG, especially regarding loop decks. Which I also want to discuss as well because some of them are really cool and I want to talk about it. But first, let's address the ban list stuff. So this list literally came out. I was actually refreshing the page multiple times on my phone while I was waiting for it at like 11 or 12 at night. But when I saw it, I was like, dude, this is crazy. Um, First off, hitting Uko. Yes, it was a very good idea. Yes, we really needed the hit to the promo one mainly because it does give you an extra memory and it does give you an extra egg, which does kind of help you in conjunction with the Louis kind of turbo out your play. But I feel like instead of hitting this one, they should have hit the new BT16 one because this one, honestly, it's a good hit, but you don't really like to see it. Most of the time, in almost every match I've played against anybody in my locals or just with anybody in general online, you usually want to see the other BT16 one because that one searches your Tamer and Digimon stuff. Compared to this one, it just gains you that one memory and gets you that extra draw by evolving another Uko on the egg you just hatched. So it's not as impactful nowadays. Like, sure, it does give you that extra power, but it's just not as strong. And I kind of wish they had hit the 16 one more because this one would have been fine at 4. You could have replaced the BT16 and it would slow down a lot of decks, especially the new blue hybrid or the ancient Garuru blue hybrid specifically, and just the ancient gray as well. So any deck that was using BT16 and relying on it to get their searches basically gets slowed down immensely. But with this, you just kind of lose out on 3 rookies, which doesn't really hurt as bad, but that's just how it be. And then yeah, they hit the Louis, which I feel is really this is probably one of the best hits they've done because this, in conjunction with certain decks, specifically like the ancient Gabu deck that I already played and used to get 3rd place, that deck with Louis is so insane. Like, the fact that you can output maybe 2 ancient Garus per turn is just broken. And I'm glad they hit Louis because it actually does help slow down a lot of rush decks because a lot of them were relying on basically hard playing this to push out your last Uko and swing for a game. So really good that they hit this. Perfect hit. And they even mention here that in conjunction with the Maddie Shida from BT6 that it became broken. So they purposely say that it's because of Gabu Rush that they had to hit this, which I totally agree with. That deck is broken, and I know it, so that's fine. Hammer Spark, really good hit. This card needed to get hit like ages, and I mean ages ago. When this card was dominant in BT4, they should have honestly hit it at that point. Same with like any time during BT5, they should have hit this, but they still didn't hit it. And I'm honestly glad that they finally did it because it is not fun to play against any deck that can abuse 4 copies of this card. It is just bullshit. The fact that they can give you, that you can pay 0, and I mean the 0 to gain just 1 memory for free, and if you have like multiples, you can stack that. That's disgusting. And the fact that in security, you just gain 2 memory, that's really strong. Every other card that has had like gain memory has a clause to it. Red has Gravity Crush. You lose 2 on their turn. Purple, you have to have 10 cards. With yellow, with Blinding Ray, you have to discard a security. Well, kind of. Like, you have to discard a security or attempt to discard a security. So at least you're getting a minus in a way. This card had no minus whatsoever, and that's what made it broken. So I'm glad they hit it, and they even explained the fact that it can just make things possible is too strong. Like, I totally agree with their reasoning, and I'm glad that's hit to 1 now. Awakening was something that they should have hit a long time ago, before Magna X came out, but they didn't, and because of it, it allowed Yellow Vaccine to exist, specifically the Magna X version of it, which I really did not like because you could just output like Magna X turn 2 if you got lucky enough, and if not, you would get it maybe like turn 4. So it's just really busted of a card, and the fact that it enabled Magna X in other decks is stupid. So I'm glad that they hit this card to 1. Sure, it does impact Magna X, but at least in this case with Magna XX, they have to pay the 5 cost at least. Now because they don't have access to like 3 or 4 awakenings, so now they can't do a cheap evo if they have a memory setting tamer. So I understand why they hit it, and even here they cite the reason why. Then we have Numa X. This actually hurts the engine of Numan immensely, but from what I've seen from a lot of people on YouTube and on Discords and whatever, they have actually cited that this actually doesn't kill the engine, it just slows it down a bit. But you can still do almost everything else in the deck, especially the Manze X combo, which is basically what made the deck so busted. Sure, you don't get an extra guy to come out and gain 2 memory, but you still get to spam the board, so I feel Numan still has a place in the meta. It's just not on the top next to Ancient Garu. It might be now down towards the bottom of Tier 1. So even with this hit, I still feel the deck is very strong, because now you can actually fit in more of the other Numamons, specifically the blocker inherent ones, and you can actually fit in the other Garamons that do -1 security. So the deck might honestly just turn into a pure stun deck. So yeah, I feel like they might honestly go that way. And here, they even cite it. And also, the next hit, the TK, straight up, screw this card because it is broken and it enabled way too much, and I honestly am super happy that they hit TK. I don't care that they, that they could have errated it. Like a lot of people saying like, oh, they shouldn't have hit TK because now it cripples yellow angels. Yeah, we don't like watching yellow angels heal 5 security in 1 turn because of this kid. No, this card needed to get hit to 1, and it deserved it because it is a broken card. It's worse than the old TK, and yeah. Anyway, they even cite the reason why with the yellow vaccine decks. And then, of course, we got Gabumon, which is kind of cool. I like that they actually are starting to unban cards, especially with this Gabumon, because the only reason it even got hit was because of collateral damage from the Garurumon stuff. So it's good that they brought it back. I'm honestly really happy that they did that. But yeah. Aside from that, let's actually get into the discussion about the other decks. Okay, so now let's talk about the weird loop decks that have been going around. So first off, this is the example that I was shown. Shout out to ATX Eagle X for figuring this out straight up, because looking at this, it's really weird that we even figured it out in the first place. But I'm glad we did, because we haven't had a weird loop deck in a while. And I'm obviously, as you can tell by my tone, I'm really excited to try it out. I am trying it out in the sim, and so far I've been having some really weird success with it, especially with the Mirage Loop version, because this is the Mirage Loop version, the Dog Walk version. I do plan to build the other Galaxy version as well. But yeah, no, this is pretty degenerate. I've been able to basically make it so that my opponent just cannot get a turn, which is really insane if you think about it, because the last time we had this, Bandai just said, "Nuh-uh, this ain't happening, fuck you." But the fact that they haven't caught on to this is really good, because that actually gives us a time to basically try out the deck and see how it is. I haven't really been to local since my vacation, but I'm hoping to see at least maybe one other person maybe try this out, because it looks really crazy and really annoying to deal with, and I just want to see their reactions. But no, yeah, aside from my excitement from it, this deck is a problem. The only problem, though, well, like, it's the fact that you don't allow your opponent to have a turn is really fucked up in general. And it, honestly, if I were Bandai, I would not honestly allow this deck, because not letting your opponent play is just not a cool way to do it, especially with a card game. There were other decks like that in like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, and it's just like the fact that Digimon has had, like, so far this is the 2nd or 3rd one if you include the Galaxy version. So really crazy that we can even do stuff like that. But yeah, no, we really need to address this at some point. Main thing though is that after testing though, I noticed that there are a lot of issues with the deck, specifically the fact that it requires a certain amount of cards in hand. It requires a very specific amount of, like, it has very specific crucial pieces that need to be on the board to enable it. And in the time that you set up, potentially, if you're playing against a Dexdoro deck, you basically lose. Because A, they have a way to play out their memory setter without having to actually play the card. In this case, through the new Doromon from BT16. And then not only that, is that a deck like Dexdoro, or any deck that has access to Tamer deletion, like Tyrant, can basically stop you, because you need your Sayo and Co., you need your Homer, and you need a Mirage on board to basically set up the turn. And not only that, you also need to have a Lunamon or a Gaomon tucked underneath to basically set up everything, which is really crazy. You need all of that to be able to do it. So I feel like there will be moments where the deck will be inconsistent and you won't be able to see all your pieces. Sure, you're going to be able to search everything out, but at the same time, sometimes you won't be able to, which is where you kind of have that issue. But yeah, aside from that, it's just really crazy of a deck. And I wanted to talk about it because we need to kind of bring attention to this so Bandai can address it at some point. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to discuss, because as I said, I've been on vacation for a while, so I haven't really had a chance to put out any videos. As you can see, that my last video was like a week ago. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to discuss all this stuff. And yeah, as usual, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you thought of this video, and I'll see you guys next time.